So welcome back to Stoke on Trent College. Today we're going to show you some fresh pasta and we'll cover a basic pasta dish, an intermediate pasta dish, and to get your high level skills in we'll do an advanced pasta dish.
So we've already made a dough up previously. I just want to run you through the ingredients that you're going to need. So you're going to need some 00 flour, which is a really fine ground flour, specifically for your pastas and stuff like that. And you're going to need some eggs as well. The rule that I've always used and always been taught is 100 gram of flour is 1 egg. So we put the flour in a bowl, crack an egg into it, or however many ever eggs you need, give it a good knead and a good mix until you form a nice smooth dough. So once you've got your dough, this is what we should be looking for. Nice smooth texture, a bit of a golden colour to it from the egg yolks. What you want to do with that next is wrap it in cling film, put it in the fridge, let it rest, let that gluten rest a little bit there because it'll be much easier to get through the machine. What we've done to save time is we've cut a little bit off for what we're going to use for the tagliatelle, and then Steve's going to start putting it through the pasta machine. So I'll pass over to Steve.
Here's some of the pasta dough that James has made. Pasta machine did about £25–30 from your cook shops. We've clamped it onto the table to stop it moving around, and I've just used a little bit of the 00 flour, and we're just going to send it through the rollers just to start rolling it out and get the process going. So we've already doubled it in size. I'm now going to turn the rollers down a notch, so we start them on its widest setting, and then each time we move it in, and therefore we're going to get the pasta to become thinner and thinner each time. So hold it in your hand, let it go through the rollers, and take it, and then we'll take it down another notch, so we're getting progressively thinner each time until we get to the right thickness that we want. So as you can see, it's progressively getting longer. If you're not comfortable at this and you're running out of table space, or your arm's not long enough, just fold the two edges back over on themselves, stick them down, and then effectively you've got a belt going through. So you've got a smaller work area, and we just take it down another notch. We don't want to go too much and get it too thin. Cut the dough. So now we've got it suitable for what we want. So once it's gone through the roller and we've got it to the length that we want, we change the handle from off the large roller onto one of the two little settings we've got. We've got one for tagliatelle and we've got one for linguine, one slightly thinner than the other. And then we start to feed the pasta through the linguine cutter, and keep rolling it through until you've sent all the pasta through. Next lot of pasta we put through the linguine, and now we've got our two different lots of pasta, and we've hung it over some wooden spoons just to dry it off, and we'll probably dry it off for about 15–20 minutes just so it doesn't stick together in the pan.
So we've got our dried pasta now. You'll see a big change in the texture of it when you touch it. You'll see that it's dried out quite a bit. What you'll need equipment wise is a pan of boiling water that's been heavily salted. Italians always say that the water that you cook pasta in should taste of the sea. It's an unwritten rule really, but Italians do favour that one, don't they?
Yeah.
We're using something called a pasta basket or a chafing basket there, but it's not essential. You can drop your pasta straight in. We're just using it as, in most professional environments, this is what you'll be using to either bring back your pasta up to temperature or to cook your pasta fresh. So we're going to take this pasta now, we're going to drop it into the water. Your normal dry pasta is going to take 7 to 9 minutes to cook normally. This pasta is going to take 3 to 4, if that really, especially with how thin it is. So we're going to take the spoon and we're going to just slide it in. Just make sure it's all covered. Make sure your water's boiling as well. It is important that your water's boiling. And then with the leftover tomato sauce that we've got from the cannelloni, we've got some in a pan there. We're going to bring, while that pasta's cooking, we're going to bring that up to temperature, just so it's nice and warm. We'll check it for seasoning once we get there, then we're going to add the pasta in once it's cooked.
And this is going to be our first baseline pasta dish, isn't it? For our...
Yeah, it's a pretty simple one. It's just getting you used to cooking fresh pasta and using fresh sauces, really. That's right, I'd say as well. That sauce, all we've done there is we've got some shallots, some garlic. We just sweated that down with a little bit of olive oil.
Yeah.
And then we've used passata, obviously things that everybody can obtain from any supermarket. So we're not trying to make it too difficult, but afterwards we'll show you a dish with a few more ingredients.
And if you can't find passata, just use chopped tomatoes or plum tomatoes. Just liquidise it.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same.
Passata is just a smooth tomato sauce, that's all it is really. Now we're looking at that pasta, and that pasta's coming up nice. It'll change colour as well, it'll almost look a little bit like noodles. It won't look like your traditional pasta that you get that's dried while it's stewed, really. It doesn't come out like that. That pasta's been dried for a purpose. Don't be scared to check it every now and again. I'm using a set of tongs. Still a little bit. You want a little bit of bite to it, you don't want it to be mushy. And the key with it as well is taking the pasta from the water to the pan with these kind of dishes. We don't want to drain all the water off it and let it go, because that water contains a little bit of starch that will then start thickening around the pasta. Yeah, it creates a little bit of an emulsification, like Steve says, and it just helps it bind and coat. There's nothing worse than getting pasta and the sauce just runs off it. I'd say we're not far off there. I'd say we're ready. So take a little bit of that water off. Always keep your pan there. We're just going to tip that in. We're going to just toss it through the sauce. Really, that's all we're doing. And that starch that's going to come off that pasta is going to just help the sauce to thicken if it was a little bit loose as well. So we're going to get that up to temperature. We're going to put a touch of salt in it. Seasoning, very important when cooking anything. A little bit of ground white pepper I've got there. Normally I'd use a little bit of ground black. Unfortunately I'm doing it today. You want to get a little teaspoon, taste your sauce. Taste it for seasoning. That's good to me. And then if you look, all your pasta's nicely coated there in sauce. And now we're gonna plate it up.
We're going to cheese it.
Oh yeah,
in the pan.
We can put some cheese in.
Are you wanting grated or you wanting shavings?
I'll probably use a little bit of the grated in the pan, just for some more flavour. Get that mixed in. Now I'm going to show you a trick. If the pasta goes a little bit dry, take a little spoon or ladle of your water. Get a little spoon. Just add a touch in. Add a little touch in there. And that's going to loosen it down a little bit. So we've got a nice bowl there, a nice white bowl, which pasta's normally served in. And what we want to do, we don't want to just slop it into the bowl. So what I'm doing is I'm just manipulating it with the tongs, so it's got some height to it. And then you can see your nice strands there. And we're gonna almost twist it into the bowl there. Don't worry if there's a little bit around the edges, we can wipe that up after. And then the same with the dishcloth, the wet dishcloth. Anything that you look at that you think, I don't like the look of that, there's fingerprints around the bowl, or there's a little bit of sauce out of place anywhere, just wipe it up. And then we're going to garnish it just with a little few parmesan shavings over the top. That's your pasta dish.
So we've rolled out our pasta for our second dish, exactly the same as the first one. We've cut it now into what is effectively lasagna sheets, so you could use that and use it as a lasagna. And now we're going to fill it with ricotta, and we've got some garlic, spinach, and we've sweated it in a little bit of olive oil. We've added some spinach and we've let that wilt down to nothing, and then we've mixed it up with some ricotta cheese, and then we've blitzed it so we get a nice smooth paste. And now we're going to pipe this into our pasta as our filling, and this is going to be folded up as our cannelloni.
cannelloni are little tubes for anybody that don't know, so they're like round little cylinders, so that's what we're going to do after we've filled it there.
And now we're going to fold it over and we're going to make it into a tube. Don't go mad with all the filling, because all it will do is burst out at the ends and then you'll have it everywhere. And we're just going to wet these edges with a little bit of water and our pastry brush. Roll and stick the edges down, put the fold underneath just so it looks nice and neat, and there's our cannelloni.
So we've got our lovely cannelloni there that Steve's prepared for us. Nice cylindrical shape. We've got a little cannelloni dish, or you can use any little baking dish that you want there. We've also got a little tomato sauce that we've made earlier on. That's just got some shallots, some garlic, salt and pepper and some passata in it. We're going to put a little bit of that on the base. We're going to just spread that out on the dish. Just make sure it covers the bottom, because you don't want the pasta to burn to the dish, so it needs that little bit of moisture to help it along. We're going to take these cannelloni, again, make sure that the folds at the bottom, we're going to pop them into the dish there, and we're going to put a little bit more of this sauce over the top. Not loads, you don't want to swamp it, you want to be able to taste the pasta and taste everything else. I'm just going to put a little bit over the top. Some nice grated parmesan. Any cheese will do, it can be cheddar, whatever, it doesn't matter. Then we're going to put a nice sprinkling over the top. That's ready to bake and go into the oven. So we're going to cook that for about 20-25 minutes in the oven. Fresh pasta takes a lot less cooking than your normal dried pasta, so that'll go into the oven. You still want a little bit of bite to it, you don't want it to be like mush, but you want a nice glazed top and the sauce to be bubbling around it. So I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about presentation. So obviously we've got our dishes there, and tomato sauce can go everywhere really, can't it? So it's all about when you're serving dishes and serving dishes to customers, even if it's people at home, you want to get in the routine and making sure it looks crisp and smart, because a lot of people eat with their eyes. So if we look at that dish there, we've got a little bit of tomato sauce on the lip there. Now that's not desirable, you want everything to look clean and smart. So with a damp dishcloth, obviously clean, we're just going to wipe that away there, and we're going to make sure that there's no finger marks around it which will bake on the edges there, and we're just going to clean it up. We just want to make sure it's aesthetically pleasing to the customer. So here's your finished product with your cannelloni. Come out the oven, bubbling, nice. Cheese is all nicely melted and golden. That's your spinach and ricotta cannelloni.
So this is our final dish. This is our advanced, more in-depth skill level challenge. So we've rolled out our pasta as we did before. I've cut them out into circles. You could cut them out into squares if you wish, depends on what it is you want to do with it. And then we've got our same ricotta filling. I'm going to pipe it into the middle. Again, we don't want to go too mad, so it bursts out everywhere. A little bit of egg wash around the outside, or a little bit of water around the outside rather, just to help it stick. And then I'm going to take one of the little circles, I'm going to pinch it together, make sure it is well sealed so it's not going to leach out into the pan. And then we're going to use our little finger, and we're just going to bend it around your little finger and pinch the two ends together. So here's our ricotta and spinach tortellinis. I've just put a little bit of flour in the bottom of the dish just to store them on, stop them sticking. I'm just going to pass this over to James now, and he's going to finish the dish off.
So we've got our tortellinis, and this time we're not going to drop them in, I'm going to place them in the basket first. Don't overload your baskets either, that's what I'd say is a key one. They're going to take 4 to 5 minutes because they're filled, you want the filling to be warm as well. So we're going to let them cook, and then we're going to toss them through a sauce at the end and then plate them up again. So tortellinis are cooked, this time we want to drain all the water off, and we don't want a big puddle of water on the plate. So we're taking it off onto some blue kitchen towel there. Using blue because then if any bits get stuck or anything, then we can obviously see. So we're going to let that drain for a minute there. We've got some more of our tomato sauce there, and we're going to dress this a little bit differently. I'm going to show you more of a restaurant style kind of plating. So we're going to put some sauce on the plate like that, taking the excess off, and with the back of the spoon we're just going to create almost like a little well in the middle there. So we spread the sauce out, we'll keep it nice and neat. Pasta will have drained there, so we want to arrange these really nicely on there. We've spent all the time doing them, so we want to present them nicely. And I'd say a big thing with presentation for me personally, whenever I've been presenting dishes, I always work in odd numbers.
I was just going to say that we have got an even number, but
I'd probably
always
just
keep one back.
I'd probably just put the 5 on the dish like that. It's more for the eye of a customer. It's a lot better on the eye.
It sits better, doesn't it, than everything looking symmetrical.
Yeah, definitely. So I've got some finely grated parmesan that I'm going to put over this time. We're just going to go in and around. Then I've got a little bit of extra virgin olive oil there. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a spoon. Usually I'd use a squeezy bottle, but I can understand that you guys at home won't have a squeezy bottle, so we're going to drizzle a little bit around it there into the sauce and onto your pasta. Just give it a nice sheen, and then finally we've got a little bit of cracked black pepper, and we're just going to put a few twists on the top. Check the plate for any marks or any unwanted pepper around the outside there. That's your tortellini dish with a tomato sauce, grated parmesan and some extra virgin olive oil and a twist of black pepper. Right guys, so for the next virtual session we're going to be doing bread. We're going to be doing the ins and outs of different kinds of breads, yeast. So make sure you tune in and join us then. Thanks a lot.